We're gonna watch this Jimmy video. While we might not get another good MMO.
I've been on this spree of trying basically every major MMO recently.
Yeah, he tried WoW. Like, I haven't had a chance to watch the video. I eventually will.
And it got me thinking, and I might be the first one to ever have this thought, but
yeah,
I don't think we're getting another good MMO for a while. Other games that come out, they follow a very similar life cycle. A big mountain slope. You start out at the top, everyone's talking about the game, and it kind of just slopes down and loses its player base over time. I mean, it's a typical life cycle for a game, very natural. MMORPGs, on the other hand, follow a very different looking life cycle. They come in all shapes and sizes. They might start out with a bang, they might start out at the bottom and work their way up. But basically, the way you know if an MMO is good and it had any sort of success, long term, over the span of many years, it kind of looks like a real fucked up EKG. Like it's the game's pulse or something. Never healthy or stable, but it's there, which is what counts. It's been quite a while since we've seen a real banger of an MMO. It kind of feels like
I feel like the last good MMO that's come out, New World. Nobody plays New World. I'd say probably Lost Ark.
The MMO industry has always just been this game of king of the hill, and the ones at the top have ascended so high that there's really no catching up to them. It's really hard to imagine them being dethroned, and there's not going to be many that try, because not only is developing a massive multiplayer online role-playing game one of the hardest things you can do as a video game developer, but it's also probably the dumbest thing you can do. We can't go into
I think the problem is that people are trying to make an MMO in the same way that you made MMOs in 2000s. And like, I think the future of MMOs are going to be games like Monster Hunter. They're going to be games like Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, where they're multiplayer online games, but you don't need to constantly play with other people all of the time. I think that like MMOs should shift from everything requires a group and like that mindset to shared world that people can cooperate in or not. I think that's what's going to start happening. That's what should start happening.
Tell you about something that someone.
I'm actually really excited to see what's going to happen with Monster Hunter Wilds, because I hope they're able to innovate that a bit farther.
Pay me to tell you about. So 2023 was full of health issues for me, which led to a lot of involuntary weight loss. It wasn't fun. So this year I've made it a priority to make sure that I'm getting everything I need for both mental and physical health. And AG1 is helping me do just that. It's got 75 different vitamins and minerals that supports body, brain, and gut health. Very important things to keep healthy. And one thing I love about it, it combats visible signs of aging, which is incredibly important for me as Jagex continues to release quest after quest, making it impossible to end my series. AG1 can also help boost focus and mental clarity, and I've always struggled with sustaining energy throughout the day, and after a while of taking AG1, I noticed that I was not clawing and scratching for caffeine throughout the day. I just put water into the little bottle here. I do 8 ounces of water because it actually tastes good. I don't need to water it down at all. I shake it up a bunch, like get my cardio in for the day, and I drink it. It's a very easy process. As someone who's trying to be super mindful of nutrition and recovery, I highly recommend giving AG1 a try. You can try it for yourself by clicking the link in the description, and you can get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Big thank you to AG1 for sponsoring today's video.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that.
The thing that got me thinking about this the most came from a situation that's been kind of brewing up over the last 3 years. In June 2021, Riot Games put a post up on their website calling for any game developers that are wanting to enter the world of MMORPGs with them. And this was amazing news because it's pretty common knowledge at this point that Riot Games tends to not miss. The things they've been making, pretty good. Well, the MMO community was welcoming them with open arms. If you've kept up with the MMO world in the last 3-4 years, you know that the community is kind of still waiting for that game to come along that's just going to change everything. There was no real official news released for the next 2 years. The only set-in-stone thing we got was that Greg Street, who was the producer of the project, was leaving the company. Pretty soon after, he announced that he was launching his own company, making his own MMO. It was just very...
Well, they did one interview. Oh, no, they actually did 2 interviews, whenever I think about it. One interview was with Canon, who interviewed Ghostcrawler, Greg Street. And then the second interview was with Necrit, who interviewed some of the guys whenever he went to Riot. So they did 2 interviews about the game, and that was it.
Disappointing because he was extremely involved in the community and just had a lot of indicators that he really cared about this and was going to do his best to make it an actual game-changing, enjoyable MMO.
Yeah.
Obviously, hope for the best. But now, about a year later, there's whispers and rumors that this Riot MMO might not even be happening, which honestly would be the least surprising thing I've heard in the last 3 hours, at least. Riot Games has set a huge bar for themselves, which is...
I think that they're right for delaying it, by the way. I think that right now there's so much tech that's in transition that I think what they're worried about is something that's like actually super technical. Is they're worried about investing a lot into tech that's going to be totally outdated in 5 years, that's going to effectively make their game come out, and then within a year or 2 years or 6 months even, that game will still be outdated, or immediately, like AI innovation, the different types of like the way that like Unreal 5 can render things super fucking fast. I think that's the reason why. That's why they're stepping back.
Raised everybody's expectations
Server
for
meshing,
everything
yeah.
they ever make. I can't tell you in confidence whether or not this game's happening or not. What I can tell you without a doubt is that it has been a bumpy ride behind the scenes. And if you'd like to see what Riot is most likely fearing, if you look up New World's player count history and see how that unfolded, you can see just how risky it is to release an MMO in the modern era of gaming. I've got around...
Well, I mean, to be fair, I want to say too that all of the problems with New World were correctly diagnosed by me in the first beta, and I was right about everything, and they didn't listen to me. And if they had, the game would have been better. So just keep that in mind, guys.
760 hours played on New World.
That's
and
more
was a
than
part
me.
of the community during the rise and fall of it. And I also saw how quickly that new and refreshing ideas can completely drain the life out of a player base if done incorrectly. New World game design...
Well, this is the problem with the game. It's because it's fucking broken. It doesn't work. That's the problem. That's it. It's broken. Like, the game is broken, doesn't work. It's that simple.
Caught up with itself.
What the
Not
fuck
really
is that?
sure how long that game's going to be up for. Probably some of the most fun I've had gaming during its peak. And I really wish things were handled differently.
I
so
do.
that it wasn't in the condition
This game
it's
had
in
so
now.
much potential.
It was a good game.
It really did.
Some crucial things wrong with it ended up being the reason for its downfall. An MMO can only handle so
and
many...
I knew all of them before the game came out, and I tried to tell them, they just wouldn't listen to me. But yeah, I was right about everything, as I said.
Mistakes to the point where even a company that gets their funds from Amazon themselves can't really do anything for you anymore. So there's been some sprinkles of MMO here and there, a lot of underwhelming Kickstarter projects, some that are in a permanent early access phase, ones that scam hundreds of thousands of dollars somehow. But in the last like 5 years, I think New World and Lost Ark are the only two MMOs that can claim they've had any kind of success. I've never played Lost Ark before. I tried looking up some stuff to get some more insight about it, but just like any MMO you try to get information on, it's players that have hundreds or thousands of hours just complaining about things, not giving any real insight to the casual experience of the game.
The game is not very good for casual players because of how fast they release updates, and the game's pay to win. So it's like, in my opinion, you can't have a successful MMO that's pay to win. Like, if Lost Ark wasn't pay to win, it wouldn't be a good game. It still would not be a good game, but it would be a much better game. Like, the fact that Lost Ark is isometric is garbage. It's just stupid. And the graphics for the game suck. Like, that's all there is to it. Straight up. I think that, and the reason why this is super important is because having games that have like free look camera where you can actually immerse yourself in the world, it adds an extra level of escapism. And for me, having an isometric camera really, really makes it hard for me to get into a game. It does. Now, I played Lost Ark. I have over 1,000 hours in Lost Ark. I have the Golden Horse in Lost Ark. I cleared all the raids at the time that I was playing the game. However, it is, it's just a grind fest. It's not well designed. And I said all of that whenever I stopped playing the game and I didn't want to listen. I was right about everything. They had to do 3 apology streams to come to terms with that.
What I can tell you is that it's nowhere near competing with the top dogs of the MMO.
even the Koreans like have turned on Lost Ark. They're going back to MapleStory. What the fuck? How do you let that happen?
World. So between Riot's situation and New World's fumble, it got me thinking, why is this so hard? What is going on?
It's because the game's pay to win. Like, New World doesn't work, and Lost Ark's pay to win. That's why. Nobody wants to play a fucking game and spend, 300 hours farming the same Guardian. That sucks. Why would anybody want to do that?
Making an MMO has to be the most irresponsible, stupidest idea you could ever go through with. In the last 10 years, there have been 20 MMOs notable enough to make the Wikipedia page, and 12 of those are still up and running. Obviously, there's been more than 20 MMOs released, but I'm just not counting the ones that Josh Strife Hayes finds buried in the deepest depths of the deep web that peaked at 23 concurrent players. They don't really count right now. It's definitely
they're not
a dark
real
age.
games.
Now, I would say when World of Warcraft went live in 2004, that is when the true golden age started. Some may say that when Ultima Online came out, it kind of changed the game. I don't really think an MMO golden age existed without WoW. It doesn't feel right to me.
WoW was the game.
WoW did for MMOs what Fortnite did to Battle Royales. Because you may have noticed once Fortnite saw success in its little side game mode of Battle Royale that wasn't even what they wanted their players to try, caused about 55 to 100 others to emerge. Once WoW showcased that you can build a long-term player base with as much success as it had, with as much money as it generated, not only with its initial launch in 2004, but with its expansions in 2007 and on.
Well, you've also got to keep in mind, like, WoW had Warcraft 3 and Warcraft 2 fan base. Warcraft 3 was one of the most popular games back in the day, and so was Diablo 2, and so was StarCraft. So it's not like World of Warcraft came out of nowhere. It was kind of like if From Software or Riot came out with an MMO that was like a Dark Souls or an Elden Ring or a League of Legends MMO. It went fucking crazy. It was like basically the best company makes the biggest game.
How do you not convince investors to let you try and build another WoW? So once this golden age started, much like the Battle Royale boom, we also got a few really, really good games to emerge alongside WoW. They're still here, people playing them. We also got an overwhelming amount.
In my opinion, I've looked at a lot of these other games. I think they're all trash. They're just bad games. Straight up, they're bad games. They don't play well. The gameplay sucks. The responsiveness of the game is bad. It just looks like garbage. It's just trash. Why would it, like... I feel like people like trying to make bad games seem appealing, but you're not fooling anybody. They all were trash. That's why they died.
Of stinkers. Some real stinkers that are not around anymore. MMOs were peaking in the mid-2000s. It was the thing to do. It was the style of game that players wanted to play. Even the projects that saw short-term success but didn't really survive, some still to this day have community-backed projects, private servers, to keep the community alive.
This is such fucking garbage. Why would anybody play this? This sucks. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm trying to be mean, but, like, it just is trash. This looks pretty awful. Yeah, it's pathetic.
All these MMO games meant a lot to people. They proved to be this genre of game that you truly did become a part of. And even though the MMO scene was kind of slowing down in the late 2000s, early 2010s, games like...
Well, it didn't slow down for any... Like, I think a big reason why the MMO scene slowed down is because of social media. Before, like, MMOs predated social media. So people went on MMOs to talk to other people on the internet because it was a novel and new thing that you couldn't do anywhere else. Then, whenever social media emerged, you could do this on MySpace or Facebook or Twitter later on. Then that novelty and that unique advantage that MMOs had went away.
Guild Wars 2 and Star Wars The Old Republic made their entry into the MMO scene and kind of picked up the stragglers that maybe weren't really happy with their games anymore.
Guild Wars 1 died because of money. You couldn't jump in Guild Wars 2. Like, that's it. Like, let's just stop right there. You can't jump in the game. That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. Why the fuck can't you jump? That's bad. It's garbage. Throw it in the garbage. Get out of here. No. It's outrageous. You can? Whenever the game came out, you could not jump.
Or didn't really scratch the itch they wanted, and we're still
Guild Wars
able
2,
to
you
give a
can?
lot.
Oh, the second game, it took them a whole game? Yeah, I'm talking about Guild Wars 1. I'm talking about, like, whenever WoW came out, why did Guild Wars 1 never catch on in the same way that WoW did? You can't jump. It's so fucking stupid. Yeah, what do you... That's dumb. What do you mean you can't jump?
Players their
I said
home
Guild Wars
base
2?
of a
Oh,
game.
my bad.
2013
I meant Guild Wars 1.
unknowingly became the grand finale of MMOs. It was the year of revival, because in February we got old school RuneScape, and in August we got Final Fantasy XIV. Both of them existing for the sake of redemption. RuneScape's main game was at an all-time low. Final Fantasy's first MMO, like 3 or 4 years earlier, was a huge flop, so both these companies basically tried again. And now 11 years later, it's safe to say that both of them did
pretty well.
Something right.
Yeah.
Confirmed. Since then, there's been a few notable...
And I think, like, both RuneScape and Final Fantasy XIV are massively lacking whenever it comes to being a good game. Like, there are massive things that Final Fantasy XIV and RuneScape just simply don't have. Straight up. They do not have them. Mild suggest, yeah, they're not there.
MMOs that have come out, and they
like
did
what? The graphics are fucking garbage. It looks like shit.
Okay, Elder Scrolls Online, Albion Online, Black Desert Online. These games are online, in case you were wondering. Lost Ark, New World, but none of them really made the impact they were probably hoping for. No. It's almost as if all players interested in MMOs have kind of found their place and stayed there. It really is kind of like...
I disagree. I think that there is a massive fan base of MMO players that are waiting desperately for a good game to come out. The neckbeards have not gone away. They're just waiting. And they're not going to come back and get addicted to a pay-to-win Korean grind fest. They're not going to get addicted to some bullshit like game like New World. They're not going to go play some gacha knockoff Genshin Impact Tower of Fantasy. Look at Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 came out and it hit. The graphics were fucking insane. The story was good. The cinematics were crazy. The character options were great. Everybody fucking played it. And if you had asked somebody, most people, a year before Baldur's Gate 3 came out, do you think a game like this could succeed in the mainstream? I bet most people would tell you no. It's because a lot of these other games just suck. They suck. They're bad. They're not good. They're lacking. There are a lot of things they don't have. They're bad.
In your home base, and that's just where you retreat back to at the end of the day. We're all kind of safe and cozy in our MMOs right now, kind of making the most of it. But even though the kings are up there on that hill, it doesn't mean they're resting up there comfortably. The wrong mistake could send them tumbling down at any moment. Those profitable, successful games up there, they got up there with blood, sweat, and dev tears. A lot of mostly dev tears. We now have insight to another reason of why creating an MMO is a really dumb idea. Money.
Can you name a perfect MMO game? I think that the game that is the closest to a perfect MMO is classic World of Warcraft. In my opinion, I think that is the closest thing to a perfect MMO for its time. It's not a perfect MMO anymore. But for its time, it was a perfect MMO.
Microtransactions have played a significant role in keeping...
No MMO will ever be successful that's pay to win. I would even say that almost no MMO can be successful that even sells cosmetics. Because if you remove visual progression out of an MMO, you take away half of the reason why people play. Oh, visual progression doesn't matter? Well, then why do people buy expensive cars and buy designer clothes and buy, a $1,000 watch? People go into debt for this in real life. You think they don't care about it in a video game? That's the dumbest thing ever. So, like, if you remove that reward structure out of a game and you turn it into being pay to win, then you just removed a tremendous element of why a game can be popular. Vanity matters. Yeah, it fucking matters. It absolutely fucking matters. That's why, like, Lost Ark is always going to be a piece of shit. That's why New World is always going to be a piece of shit. That's why WoW is a piece of shit. That's why Final Fantasy XIV is not that good. I wouldn't say it's a piece of shit, but it's pretty close. None of these games come within 10% of what WoW was in 2004. Not even a fraction. Like, I don't think you guys understand how big it was. And I think that, like, imagine Baldur's Gate 3 coming out, but it's an MMO. And it has that same level of quality for everything down the road or like across the board. And it's an MMO. That's what it was like. I do understand I was there. Yeah, people don't respect how fucking insane that game was. It'd be dope. Yeah. Like, no MMO, like Albion Online, but Black Desert? Fuck no. It's a piece of shit game. It's just a trash game. Like, people play it because it's the best that they can have, but, like, it's really not that good. I'm just being honest, guys. It's just a piece of shit.
These games alive. They've got to pay a staff to maintain and update and create for the game so that they keep their players there. They've got to pay for these massive servers. I don't even know how much those things cost. And also making sure that they meet the quota so that the very top executive owner of the company gets the salary that they've written for themselves.
Question, is Jagex milking their players?
Well, yeah, it's quite a big question.
And whatever they need to do to get there is what they got to do.
Oh, I remember that.
Subscriptions by themselves
They did walk all
cannot
that back.
sustain an MMO. It could pay for WoW in 2007 when everybody was paying a $15 a month subscription on top of buying a $40 expansion every other year. But even that caught up. They have a shit ton of microtransactions, and obviously that's more of a problem for the MMOs that make it big and they have all of these expenses. But any game that sees this big success is going to eventually run into this problem of how do we afford to keep this going. Back at my home,
I don't think that's inevitable. I don't think that's gonna keep happening. I think that as computing gets better and the optimization of, server structures and server tech gets better, like we're already seeing it now. Like the things that people can do with like games, like between DLSS and like server meshing, like with Star Citizen, it's next fucking level. Like, the problem is that games are too expensive. Like, this game can't exist right now because it's too expensive to make right now. Like, for example, as far as I know, I think this is true. The reason why George Lucas didn't start with episode 1 of Star Wars is because he knew the technology wasn't there yet. So he started with episode 4 instead with A New Hope. And whenever the technology got there in the 2000s, then he finally went and he made the Clone Wars. And it was amazing. Right? For its time, it was fucking amazing. So the problem is that technology to make a good MMO and be able to make it profitable in a way that's transformative to the industry, it just doesn't exist right now. But it will.
base, I give Jagex a lot of money every year through subscriptions.
Ooh.
I pay for my subscriptions on multiple accounts, as do other people. And Jagex makes millions off of players giving them monthly subscription money. But you may have noticed while we're over here frolicking in our flowers of polls and community involvement and fun, our brothers and sisters over at RuneScape 3 cannot say the same.
Is Jagex actually this oblivious? We're in a time where RuneScape, at least according to the majority of the vocal player base, feels like it's being neglected, and as someone who's been covering the news and following the game actively for years now, I also think
it's just pay-to-win garbage. Like, that's all there is to it. It's just a pay-to-win garbage game. Like, that's all there is. Like, I mean, really, like, I feel like we spend a lot of time debating about, well, there's not very much shit in my cake, so it's okay with eating it. But every one of the cakes is shitty. That's the problem. Is that, like, you can't have a transcendent game that changes the industry when the entire player base has to go through some level of cognitive dissonance to convince themselves that the obvious problems with the game don't exist. I'm just being honest.
Neglected. How does a company with hundreds of employees and, according to the most recently released financial statements, £137 million in revenue, have the audacity to recolor a 3-year-old outfit and sell it as part of some kind of limited edition pack?
RuneScape 3 has been contaminated with regularly updated toxic cash-grabbing microtransactions. It's experiencing increments of worse. Players just begging the devs to please stop, as if the devs have
No, they're dick eaters. They deserve it. You eat dicks, you deserve dicks. That's what dick eaters deserve. It's horrifying. Yeah, that's the way it goes. Yeah, you're playing this game. Nobody's making you play this game. You're playing this game, you're eating dicks. Stop eating dicks. Like, they added the WoW token in the classic Wrath. I pretty much just stopped playing. It's a dick eater game now. I'll play Caddis, sure. A little bit, then I'll stop. It's a dick eater game. I don't want to be a dick eater. And whenever I do want to be a dick eater, like with Honkai Star Rail, I go into it and I order dicks from the menu. I don't order a steak and then try to convince myself that there's not a dick on the steak. I order it straight off the menu.
Control over it. RuneScape 3 is the soldier spreading its arms, protecting us from projectiles, while we sleep soundly, telling the devs that we're not fond of this
Square Enix
idea
method.
they think they're having. But what I'm trying to say is that even old school RuneScape, as one of the most populated MMORPGs in modern gaming, only exists because RuneScape 3 offers microtransactions. Because what you've...
It only exists because people have nostalgia for it for 25 or 30 years. That's the main reason. Like, that's it. Like, if this game came out today, it wouldn't be as popular as it is. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. It's the same thing with Classic WoW. I'm sorry, but, like, the future of MMOs is not some old school version of a game that came out 20 years ago. This isn't the future. It's just not. People are holding on to it and hoping that, oh, well, it's gonna come back. It's never gonna come back, man. These games are products of their time.
Spent on old school RuneScape membership subscriptions in the last 6 years, 10 people spent that same amount yesterday on RuneScape 3 keys. Those are the players that Jagex needs, not you, not me. MMOs are expensive to make and they're expensive to maintain, which, by the way, whoever over at Amazon Games thought that a one-time purchase of a $40 game was going to be enough to sustain a huge MMO, what are you doing? What did you think was going to happen? And then,
well, they sold a lot of cosmetics, to be fair.
Who decided that microtransactions were going to be your next alternative, and this is what you have in the store?
You know what this is like? This is like the gold mask from Elden Ring, but it's from Wish.
They practically begged to not make money.
What's fucking cracking, baby?
Bro. The reason why New World died, I made like 5 videos about it. Yeah, I mean, it had nothing to do really with microtransactions, but microtransactions in a game like that, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work, man. New World was so good, I miss it so fucking much. I do too. I had a lot of fun playing the game. The combat was actual dog shit. New World was a game that the less seriously you took it, the more fun you had.
The biggest problem that new MMOs are going to face are getting a true player base. Not the players that are there on day one, seeing how long they can wait in a queue. Not even the ones that invest 200 hours and experience a little bit of endgame. I'm talking about the true player base. The player base that if your game shuts down, they will be on the front lines doing whatever they can to create their own version of your game, some sort of backup code to keep the community alive. Those are the players that you're looking for. They're there because they love the game. They're there for real. And those are going to be extremely difficult to get because chances are they already have that game. They're already a part of that community. And most of them aren't going...
No. If a new game comes out and it's good, everybody will play it. No. If a good game comes out, yeah, people will be done immediately. It would not even be, it would be in like a month. Everybody be playing the other game. The problem is that the games aren't there. They're trash. Like, I'm sorry, but like, look at this graph. This is terrible. I like Final Fantasy XIV, but this is fucking pathetic. Like, a middle schooler can render better rocks in Unreal 5 in probably an hour than this. This is garbage. Who cares? A lot of fucking people care. Look at how good the motion capture is and how photorealistic Baldur's Gate 3, like facial capture is and motion capture is. I think that plays such a massive role in why the game is popular. If you go and you look at TikToks of the game, it's all people looking at the characters. Look at, for example, the graphics of Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 actual graphical fidelity is like an 8 out of 10. But the art style and the lighting and the way that different effects happen in the game takes it to a fucking 10. The same with Elden Ring.
Going to be feeling that way about multiple MMOs. At this point, new MMOs have to pull their player base from other MMOs. You're going to be trying to pull players from WoW.
I disagree. I completely disagree. I think that, again, where did the players from Baldur's Gate come from? Everywhere. They came from everywhere. Where did the players from Fortnite come from? They came from everywhere. If you build it, they will come. There are a lot of guys that are 38 years old, they're balding, and they go to a card shop and they play Warhammer. And they don't play MMOs anymore because they're bad and they're a waste of time. And a lot of those guys played Baldur's Gate 3. A lot of them. They came back. If you build it, they will come.
And from Final Fantasy, and from RuneScape, and Guild Wars 2. The players that already know what they like and dislike about massive multiplayer online games. Which means that by default, a new MMO is immediately competing with the top of that hill. Could you imagine trying to enter that space and these are the guys you're standing next to, trying to gain their players? Good luck. The best kind of player
The biggest problem that MMOs run into is monetization. That's the big problem. Monetization and player server stability. No MMO gets that right. Like, if you just get those two things right, you are farther ahead than almost anybody. And content? The thing is that a good MMO, players will create content if an MMO allows players to do that. But most MMOs do not allow players to create content in the spectacle and the scale that they want to in order for it to be fulfilling.
To get for a brand new MMO.
Like, for example, what other MMO allows you to build a castle like we did in PAX Day? There isn't one. And whenever I did it, everybody was there watching. Literally hundreds of people were logging on every single day just to build a castle that would get deleted in less than a week. Do you know why? It's because it was there. And if you build it, they will come. That's it. Mortal Online 2, it's a trash game. It's a piece of shit. It's just a piece of shit bad game. That's all there is to it.
Is a new MMO player.
I feel like there's so many people have like such a crazy degree of like dissonance. These games are terrible. They're awful. Like none of them make me feel the same way that I felt whenever I saw Elden Ring or Baldur's Gate 3 or World of Warcraft or Halo 3. Not a single one of them. They're not even close.
That haven't experienced the other ones yet, and you're going to be their first experience, which would mean trying to appeal to the iPad babies, the TikTok brains, the fucking Fortnite Warzoners.
These kids will play
that can't
an
even
MMO,
hold their
for
attention to short form content unless there is a video below the main content that has some car surfing on ramps so that their weird brains allow them to stay there. Dude, drop a
I don't think that's true. I think that if you make a really good MMO, kids will play it instantly. I think this whole idea that kids don't want to invest time into games is totally bullshit. Like, easily you could get 9-year-olds to ruin their life over a video game. You just have to make the video game worth it. The problem is, like whenever you're 12 years old or 11 years old, people don't feel like MMOs are worth ruining their life over. And these are boys that want to ruin their life over a video game. They're looking to ruin their life. They're like, please fuck my shit up. Please make it to where I'm not going to have a girlfriend until after I graduate high school. But I want this. And every game is like, no, we're not going to give it to you. You know, it's pay to win. No, you can't. No, you can only have like 3 people in an area or it starts lagging. No, the graphics are from 1998. That's what's happening.
14-year-old into vanilla WoW Northshire and see how long it takes for their brains to start freaking out because there's not enough colors and numbers. The generation following us is not going to really be interested in this slower-paced MMO style that we
They
felt.
absolutely will be. Absolutely they will be. It's not even a question. You can get kids to waste their time doing all kinds of really stupid shit. Absolutely. Like think about all these kids that like will play Minecraft and invest hundreds of hours into building some stupid shit. No shot. Well, think about this, right? Okay, so I've got a couple of examples. So if you think about Minecraft, kids practice and build things in Minecraft for hundreds of hours. 30 minutes at a time? Yeah, people played Classic WoW at 30 minutes at a time. Like, yeah, that's the way it used to be. My nephew is 9, spent 500 hours on a bomb that makes water flow. Yes. And so, again, the problem is that the game doesn't feel rewarding. The issue isn't that people have like a diminished attention span. It's that the content isn't worth their attention. Like, how many of you guys were this way in school? You could immediately pay attention and listen to things that you cared about, but if it was something stupid, you didn't care. It doesn't matter how much you try to listen. It just won't happen because you just simply do not care. And I don't think that 9-year-olds are that much different than we were. Or 15-year-olds or 12-year-olds. I don't think they're different at all. I think it's the exact same shit. And the truth is that there is not a game out there right now that is worthy of them wasting their lives over it. Because look at Fortnite. Fortnite was that a few years ago, and you had a bunch of videos of, you know, all these parents, my kid's ruining his life over Fortnite. You know why? Because it was worth ruining your life over it.
In love with. Why would they run around Elwyn Forest or go kill goblins in Lumbridge when in that same time frame they could have had 3 adrenaline-pumping Warzone games to feel dopamine from? They don't chase the same numbers going up that we do. It makes me wonder if the generation following us, when they get to be our age, if they're going to be more interested in goal-oriented things like long-term MMO goals. I don't see new generations coming into MMOs, and I don't see current MMO players jumping to a new one.
Well, they're not inspiring. The game isn't inspiring. Like in like, for example, like let's say you play Lost Ark. And like you're a 12-year-old playing Lost Ark, and you go into the main city, you go into Vern, or you go into fucking Punakai or whatever the fuck it is, and you see somebody, and they have like this crazy awesome set of gear, they have this shiny weapon, and they have a really cool mount. And you are like, oh my god, this is amazing, I want to get this. And then you just open up the store and you buy it. You couldn't do that with Thunder Fury. You couldn't do it. And it wasn't that Thunder Fury was this impossible thing to get. It's that getting Thunder Fury meant like 5 other things. It meant that your guild relied on you, your guild trusted you, you were a big dick in that guild, and they wanted to give you gear, and you deserved it. And you sat through, you got attuned, you got to level 60, you're geared out, you're a part of a guild. It meant so many more things than just, oh, he has this sword. And that's what made it special. Now, these things aren't special anymore. They don't matter anymore. They're just throwaway trash. Who cares?
When they've already established their community and love for one that they've been a part of for years. I think the current games that we have in the MMO space are going to remain there, at least for as long as both the players and the devs have that desire. In order for an MMO to take the reins, become the next big thing, to really be the game changer.
I think it can't happen. It can't happen until a level of technological innovation vastly reduces the cost of creating a game. It cannot happen until then.
It's going to have to be very outside the box. Never done before, a big risk. Chances are the next MMO to really overtake these or even see equal success as these hasn't even been thought of yet. But I just have this strange feeling.
He's definitely right.
That the next MMO that comes out that has 6 classes to choose from, a woodcutting skill, and 2004 ass fetch quests is not going to be the one to see themselves at the top of that hill with those.
He's right.
It's just a hunch. I don't know. This Ashes of Creation game I've seen talked about for like the last 3 years is supposedly going to be the MMO that changes everything. They had this dev blog come out at the end of March, and I was like, okay, you know, this looks cool. And on the side of the screen, I see some quests about killing 20 goblins, and I'm like, no fucking way that.
I think that's not a problem. So here's what you have to do if you want to capture the zeitgeist of what people want out of an MMO. You need to watch Solo Leveling, you need to watch Overlord, you need to watch Sword Art Online, and you need to watch Log Horizon. Watch all of those MMOs, look at the plot devices in those MMOs, in those shows, look at why people love them, and then figure out a way to make that into a game. Shangri-La Frontier, yeah, that's another one.
This is the revolutionary
Like, these
thing.
are massively popular genres of MMOs right now, and I think, how does that not prove that people want a game like this? People are willing to watch a video of somebody else playing a video. It's the stupidest fucking thing ever. But think about how ridiculous that the premise of a game like that is. A show like that is. People want this.
The next big MMO is not going to have kill 20 goblins as a fucking quest, I promise. They've already lost in my eyes. There's just no way another one of those is going to be the one to be up there. No. There's a few things that I believe the next big MMO needs to do differently. I think the number one priority is to come up with a structure that eliminates the locust swarm effect. Finish this as fast as possible. Get to max level as fast as possible. Get to the end game, the best in slot, the min-maxing as fast as possible. It's a real shitty...
This is a problem that exists outside of gaming, and I think the reason why it's happened... And I think that we're shifting away from this now. I think that the era of goal-oriented min-maxing is waning. And also, one of the reasons why it's waning is because there is less of a fixation around making games hyper difficult. The problem and the reason why people do that is because there are a lot of group encounters and group events in WoW and other MMOs that you need to be performing at a high level in order to succeed in them. If you make a game massively punishing and really hard, and you have to rely on other people that aren't yourself in order to do the same thing that you're doing correctly at the same time, you will get more gatekeeping and you will get more min-maxing. It's really simple. The harder you punish players for failing, the harder players are going to try to avoid being punished.
Habit that we've developed with video games, especially MMOs recently. I think it's played such a big role in the overall downfall of MMOs, why everything feels underwhelming now. Unfortunately, I think as long as a game structure exists that allows for that kind of mentality, it's not going to find the success that it would have found back when we weren't playing games like that in the golden age of MMOs, when things were actually enjoyed. That's why we want to play games solo now. It's why you can get from level 1 to 70 playing by yourself in WoW. And that's not going to make for a successful MMO. You might as well just...
I think it will, actually. I think that you need to have the solo requirement. I think that there's a big problem with, like, MMOs right now, because MMOs require player interaction, and they create player interaction as, like, a... Whenever you queue up for a dungeon or like a scenario event in a lot of MMOs now, the people around you might as well just be NPCs. You don't talk to them. You don't interact with them. There's never a chance that you can fail. There's nothing. It's just fucking boring. And like classic WoW, the reason why it was really good is because player interactions were encouraged, but they were serendipitous in a way that didn't feel forced or required. That's what made it so good. And also, that's what made it so good 20 years ago. You can't go back and do that again in the same way that you can then. The game's totally different now. The world has totally changed.
Like a single-player game.
Chance
Other
to watch my WoW
MMOs
video,
would
Ghost
benefit
Conspiracy.
a lot
Oh, I will.
by trying
Yeah,
a
it's a
more
great video.
RuneScape-style quest system, where it feels almost like a mission with a lot of benefits afterwards, rather than just the same generic copy-pasted coding of a quest.
I think he's totally right about this, and as somebody who's not familiar with RuneScape very much, my understanding of the RuneScape quests, and the 2 or 3 that I did whenever I played the game, were better than almost any other quest they were better than any quest that I ever did in New World. It was not even close. It was like a real quest.
of going and getting 10 mushrooms on a tree and bringing it back for XP. It's the reason why a game like RuneScape, which people have always poked fun at its graphics, feels more alive than a game with fucking Unreal Engine 5. It's the way.
Well, it's also like the other problem is that games need a way to take players out of the goal-oriented thinking. And I think that you need to sometimes shock players out of it. And a really good example of shocking players out of goal-oriented thinking is Dragon's Plague or Dragon Blight or whatever in Dragon's Dogma 2. Your pawn literally goes crazy and kills every person in the city. Oops! And you can't save scum this. It's over. Yep, they're all dead. Uh-oh. What are you going to do now?
Feels weird a part of that world. And I think a lot of MMOs kind of look the other way when it comes to structuring things like that. They're too
Bro, I remember this. I was a Dragon Plague so much, I was constantly on edge. Yeah, I know. I remember, I have such a vivid memory of this. They released patch 7.3, PTR. 7.3 was going to Argus in Legion. And we went to Argus, and like you had this crazy cinematic. You're literally on a spaceship to another planet. I'm like, oh my God. And like the world looked fucking amazing. It's like, oh my God, we're actually in a new world. And you go down and talk to Illidan, and Illidan says, kill 15 demons.
To try something else for progression. I don't know, they just play it too safe. The world has to feel alive, and everyone's end goal can't be the same. I'm not a game dev, I'm just a consumer. I complain. My role here is to complain. I'm not the guy. If I knew what this next MMO looked like, I would be trying to make it. I promise you I would. I don't think any current game devs have really wrapped their head around what it takes.
And I think this is exactly what the guys at Riot realized. I think that this is exactly what they realized about their own vision. Because they're not
stupid. MMO to the next level, but I think with a lot of emerging game engines and technology we're capable of.
That's why they delayed it.
We're eventually going to see that thing that really makes our eyes widen and our mouths salivate. It's gonna happen. Could be a year from now, 10 years from now. Our generation of MMO players, probably the only generation of MMO players, are going to be looking for that game. And we'll know it when we see it. But for now, I think we're just gonna be cozy in the games that we play. For a more optimistic look, I think if RuneScape has taught me anything, other MMOs have really not experimented with shit. They have not really opened up the sandbox of themselves. The fact that World of Warcraft just recently released a hardcore version after it took someone developing an entire plugin to do it just kind of shows how they haven't really tried shit yet. And the fact that they just tried a battle royale is even funnier. They're trying, you know?
I'm glad they are, and I think Blizzard is finally making some of the right calls. Like this whole Mists of Pandaria thing, the Plunder Storm. Like, I'm actually, like, really happy with the direction they're trying WoW. They're throwing a lot of shit at the wall, and they're gonna see what sticks. That's smart.
We'll give it to them. Blizzard's trying.
They
might
are.
be 10 years too late to the battle royale.
Yeah, it's
boom
not
we
so
mentioned
good,
earlier,
but they're trying.
But they're trying, and we've got to give them that credit.
Yeah.
Blizzard has done everything in their power to self-destruct, and they're still
sure
standing. It's incredible. If they're not going down by now, they're never going down, all right? That company's here to stay, which gives me confidence that other MMOs will be here to stay too. So we don't really have anything to worry about when it comes to our favorite games, our cozy home base being gone. And I think a lot of MMOs need to take advantage of this world that they've created and the different capabilities their engines have, and look and see how they can approach things differently, like RuneScape has, with hardcore modes, Iron Man modes, and region locks.
Nobody's going to want to play a hardcore Iron Man mode. That's like a fraction of a percent, like, audience. Nobody gives a shit about that. Like, that doesn't hit a mainstream audience. Nobody wants to be like clenching their asshole constantly, like hyper fixated around like, oh my God, if I die, I'm going to lose all my stuff. Like this just simply is not going to hit a mainstream audience ever. It's too punishing for an average player. And you saw this with Hardcore WoW. They released Hardcore WoW, the game's dead. The game's dead because nobody actually gives a shit. You're so wrong, it's actually crazy. No, I'm not.
Leagues, restricted game modes, challenges, people like watching challenges. And I think a lot of the big MMOs nowadays have the ability to implement something like that to keep their current active player bases occupied and entertained for a long time. And all that being said, I truly hope I look like an idiot a week from today when that next big thing is announced.
I hope so too.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I really do. I think there's a future for MMOs, and we'll all be here for it. Anyway, I think that's all I got. I've been putting together the house video. It's just 5 days of a lot of footage. It's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong.
Jesus, who are
Also,
those
a special
people?
project I can't really talk about right now.
Oh my
But
God.
I'm working on that beginning of May. Other than that, it's been a pleasure. Great seeing you. Take it easy.
There it is. It's a good old-fashioned new world. Oh, Jesus. The thing with RuneScape Hardcore is you don't actually spend much time clinching. Most activities are 100% safe. I don't think that you guys understand, like, a lot of people don't respect the fact that, like, you are awake at, I mean, some of you guys are in Europe, right? But a lot of you guys are in the United States. You are awake on a, what day is today? Wednesday, I think? No, yeah, on a Tuesday night at 2 in the morning, listening to a guy talk about another guy's video about video games. And you think that you have any type of barometer on what the average person wants? No fucking way. You think the average person is in this chat thinking about this? No. Like, the moment people lose progress like that, they're done. They're finished. Like, they're not going to play that. No. It's just crazy that people don't realize that. I understand that the game has a big audience. Like, it has a big audience numerically, but it doesn't have a big potential audience. Like, there's like few thousand people that play this, but it'll never be more than that. It'll never pop off. It will never be big. Because that type of gameplay is so niche. Most people don't want that level of pressure. There's the video right there. Make sure to give it a like. This is a Jimmy video. It's one of the first videos of his that I've watched, and I think he brought up a lot of good points. For me, I actually think that the problem is that there is no way for an MMO to be successful right now because of the amount of money that it takes to develop an MMO and the things that, I think no MMO will ever be successful with pay to win. No MMO will even be 10% of as successful as WoW was. Like, more than like a month, maybe. Like with, Lost Ark was really big for a month and it died. It will never be as successful. It'll never be close. Not even 10% of what it was. Because pay to win kills a game. Thank you so much for watching. It was awesome. Yeah, thanks for making the video. It was fucking great, man. Yeah, how do we find an average person these days now? Gaming is much more mainstream these days. Bigger than movies and cinema. So quite a lot of average people here, I think. No. Average people do not watch streams of a middle-aged man watching another middle-aged man talk about video games that came out 20 years ago. Nobody in here is like that. The average person is primarily spends their time working. Yes, you cannot waste an average person's time that much. Like, you can't do that. Like, they lose their time like that, and they're like, oh my god, like, this is awful. I don't want to play this. And then they stop. Like, they might, if the game's really good, they might try it one more time. But it's only a matter of time until they quit. And I'm not saying that those games don't have their place, but they will never be mainstream and they will never be big. They will never have even 10% of the relevance that Minecraft, Fortnite, or World of Warcraft ever had, and it will never happen. But they'll always have an audience, but it will be a small audience. So, if you die in OSRS, you use a symbol that says that you've never died. Sure, right? But I'm saying, like, that's not really a meta game then. Why does that matter, though? A game doesn't need to be mainstream for it to be successful. It does, actually. So the reason why MMOs need to be really big in order for them to be successful is because if a game is really big and popular, that means that your accomplishments inside of the game matter more because more people know what they are. So the reason why people care about buying skins in popular games is because other people can see the skins. Nobody cares about being good at a random game. And so a lot of people want to invest their time into games that they feel like they can show off their skill for. So, for example, like Valorant, League of Legends, etc. Wrong? No, I'm completely right. It's not even a question. Most people don't want to waste their time on a small little game that has a tiny player base that nobody gives a shit about. A lot of people are trend watchers, and they're going to follow the trend. So if your game isn't popular and there's not a lot of people playing it, that is a self-fulfilling prophecy for an MMO. And an MMO needs to be very popular in order for it to be even more popular. That's the way it goes. That's why WoW mattered so much back in the day, is because everybody knew what Thunder Fury was. People knew what Shadowmourne was. People knew what it meant to be a gladiator. Now nobody gives a shit because nobody plays the game anymore and nobody cares about it. That's what happens. That's the reason. So the reason why people want to invest time into a game is because those people want to be able to show off those accomplishments. Like, there's an entire multi-million-dollar industry, billion-dollar industry around showing off accomplishments inside of video games. Like every other aspect and every other element of human psychology in every other relevant point in the entire world in life reflects this. It's reflected in clothing. It's reflected in the way that people want to look. It's reflected in how they buy cars. It's reflected in how they, like how they post about themselves on social media. Everybody wants to show off something that other people can appreciate and say is really cool. Their house, yes, not even close to. No, it's completely fucking true. People love status symbols. Absolutely. Yeah, it's just like, I feel like people just take a step back and think about this from a psychological perspective. And this is what I was saying before about how MMOs, designing an MMO is just as much, if not more, psychology than game design. Status is a driving force for most people. It absolutely is. It's a social aspect of game design. Well, psychology, yes. Showing off is such low human behavior. Exactly. And you need to have things that appeal to low human behavior because that creates the most amount of people that are an audience. You're explaining how popular things work, but what's your point? You can have niche things that are successful? Sure, then go ahead and do that. But what I'm telling you is that you will never have a game that's succeeded on the same level as Classic WoW or Minecraft or Fortnite that doesn't fall into that category. Like, I'm not saying that you can't have a successful game that's a niche game that has 10,000 core players and everybody loves the game. Good for you. Great. But it will never be mainstream, and it will never be popular, and it will never change the culture. That's the point that I'm making. Are people even arguing with this? Because they're mad that I'm categorizing their game as irrelevant. But they are. Their games are totally irrelevant. They have no impact at all. Nobody will ever care. They're coping? Yes, people are coping. And I will be proven right over and over and over again. Because expecting the lowest, expecting the worst out of people is an undefeated expectation. And I'm always right.